dear students, myself Gangadhar Solanke, and I welcome you all to the MCGM's virtual classroom.
My dear students, today we'll be learning the history of standard 6th, and as we know, the heading of our history's textbook is History of Ancient India. And in the history of 6th standard, we are studying about the ancient period. In the 5th standard, you people already learnt about how we came to be in EVS part 2. And now next to that, we are learning about the ancient India. And in the first term, we learnt about the Indian subcontinent and history in the first lesson. In that, we learnt geographical conditions and the course of history, geographical features of India, and in geographical features, we learnt the regions which are seen to be important when we look at the course of Indian history, and in that the Himalayas, the plains of Sindhu, Ganga, Brahmaputra rivers, the Thar Desert, the Deccan Plateau, the coastal regions, the islands in the seas, and then the Indian subcontinent. In the second chapter, which was very important chapter, sources of history. In that topic, we learned about the sources of ancient history. With the help of these sources, we are going to study the further lessons, and that is why the lesson was very important. And in that, the types of sources of history: material sources, written sources, oral sources, sources of ancient Indian history, and precautions to be taken while writing history. Now, when we talk about the sources of ancient Indian history, then we learned many things in that, but basically three basic types: material sources, written sources, and oral sources. In material sources, artifacts and structural remains. Then the third lesson was the Harappan civilization, which was the very important period or the important kind of excavations during that period. Harappan civilization, housing and town planning of that period, seals and pots, the Great Bath, life in the Harappan civilization, trade, and reasons for decline. Now, through the lesson, the Harappan civilization, we learn many important things about the ancient history of India. In the fourth one, next to the Harappan civilization, the Vedic civilization, in that we learnt about the Vedic literature, family system, and day-to-day life during the Vedic civilization, agriculture, animal husbandry, economic and social life of the Vedic civilization, religious ideas of that particular period, and the political system. In the fifth chapter, religious trends in ancient India. So, in that we learnt about Jainism, Buddhism, Judaism, then the Christianity, Islam, and the Zoroastrianism. In the sixth chapter, Janpadas and Mahajanpadas, we discussed about the concept of Janpadas and the concept of Mahajanpadas, and the important Janpadas and important Mahajanpadas. Now today, we will be learning the topic India during the Maurya period. Now, here one thing you people just try to understand, that we are studying about the progress, or we can say the steps, or we can say the journey of India, or the of ancient India. So, here in this topic, India during the Maurya period, we are going to talk about the Greek Emperor Alexander's invasion, the Maurya Empire. So, the basic things before starting the topic. In the 6th century BCE, now here the number is important, in the 6th century BCE, a king named Cyrus, keep in mind the name, a king named Cyrus had established a vast empire in Iran. Now here we are talking about the background of the India during the Maurya period. Before starting directly to the Maurya period, we are just going to talk about the background. Exactly background में क्या क्या चीज़ें हुई and because of which Maurya empire फिर start हुआ. So here in the 6th century BCE, a king named Cyrus had established a vast empire in Iran. This empire extended from northwest India to Rome and Egypt in Africa. Now by this sentence, you people can understand the expand of this kingdom or expand of this empire from northwest India से लेके रोम और फिर इजिप्ट इन अफ्रीका around 518 BCE, an Iranian emperor named Darius had conquered the region to the northwest of India up to Punjab. Basically, first thing about the Cyrus and then the Darius. Darius had recruited. He recruited the soldiers from this area into his army. Political relations between India and Iran. Political relations between India and Iran were established during the reign of Emperor Darius. This led to greater exchanges in the fields of trade and art. Now again one thing I am repeating, whenever there is exchange in the field of trade, then naturally there is exchange between the art and culture and custom and traditions. क्योंकि एक देश का दूसरे देश के साथ जब ट्रेड होता है, व्यापार होता है, तो वो सिर्फ व्यापार नहीं रहता, एक दोनों की कल्चरल वैल्यूज जो है वो भी एक्सचेंज हो जाती है. एक दोनों के कल्चरल वैल्यूज के बाद अगर कुछ कस्टम्स और ट्रेडिशंस है, सेलिब्रेटिंग टाइप ऑफ फेस्टिवल्स है, वो सारी चीज़ें कल्चर में आ जाती है या फिर आर्ट में आ जाती है, वो भी एक्सचेंज हो जाती है. एंड द सेम थिंग हैपेंड ड्यूरिंग दिस पीरियड. India and Iran were established during the reign of Emperor Darius, and this led to greater exchanges in the fields of trade and art. Emperor Darius had introduced a uniform currency. Today we are using rupee as our currency, and different currencies in the different parts of the world. हर एक देश की अपनी एक currency होती है, but here in the ancient period, Darius had introduced a uniform currency called Darik in all parts of his empire. जहाँ जहाँ पर उसके empire थी, जहाँ जहाँ पर उसके empire की boundaries थी, there he made it compulsory for trading. And because of the currency or because of the coin Darik, it became very easy for trading. The capital city of Persepolis was built during his reign, and Persepolis is in Iran. So here the background about the India or the ancient India. But here, before going to start with the Maurya Empire, it is very important to know about the Cyrus and the Darius. Now the next point, the Greek Emperor Alexander's invasion. Now it may possible that you people heard the name of Alexander, who is very famous in history. Alexander the Greek Emperor. Alexander the Greek Emperor. Now Cyrus was the Emperor of Iran. वो ईरान का एम्पायर था. एंड हियर अलेक्जेंडर द ग्रीक एम्पायर इन्वेडेड इंडियाज नॉर्थ वेस्टर्न फ्रंटियर इन 326 BCE. And you can see this in the map, crossing the Indus River, or Sindhu River. Today we know it as Sindhu River. In the map you can see here it is Hind Kush, India, the way of Alexander on the invasion, Himalaya. So crossing the Indus River, he reached Takshashila. In this you can see easily Alexandria on the Indus from here. So he reached Takshashila, and on the way he met with forceful opposition from the local Indian kings. Now it was not very easy for Alexander also to invade India. अलग अलग जो लोकल इंडियन किंग्स थे उन्होंने भी अपोज किया अलेक्जेंडर को, बट द बेसिक थिंग वो सक्सेस उन्हें क्यों नहीं मिला, वो सक्सेस क्यों नहीं हुए, मे बी बिकॉज ऑफ द डिवीजन इन द पावर. अगर वो सारे एक होके उसके खिलाफ मिलते तो शायद अलेक्जेंडर का इन्वेजन जो है इंडिया पर सक्सेस नहीं होता. लेकिन वो जैसे जैसे आगे चलता गया वहाँ पर अलग अलग छोटे छोटे राज्य थे और उन छोटे छोटे राजाओं ने उससे लड़ाई की, उसे अपोज किया, बट उन्हें सक्सेस नहीं मिला. सो ऑन द वे ही मेट विथ फोर्सफुल अपोजिशन फ्रॉम द लोकल इंडियन किंग्स. he defeated them all successfully and reached Punjab. Now where he started? Crossing the Indus Sindhu River से start किया, then he reached Takshashila, then जो अपोजिशन थे उनको भी उसने क्रश किया, उसका जो भी आर्मी वगैरह थी, and then he reached Punjab. In this invasion his army had to suffer severe hardships. Now it may be because of the different climatic conditions, because of the longer period on the battlefield, and maybe because they were very long period away from their family. So the soldiers were eager to go back home. क्योंकि अगर आप ये थोड़ा इसे अच्छी तरह से समझ ले कि कोई भी राजा जब अपनी सोल्जर्स को लेके लड़ाई पे निकलता था तो वो आगे 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 जैसे ही जीतता जाता था तो वो आगे 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 ही चलते जाता था. और जिन सोल्जर्स ने अपना घर छोड़ा हुआ है उनको बहुत टाइम तक बैटल फील्ड पे ही रहना पड़ता था, लड़ाई करनी पड़ती थी. एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू द एरिया क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस चेंज हो रही है, ऑल्सो द फूड चेंज हो रहा है. सो उसके साथ मैच होना is not simple thing nowadays also and that time also. So the army had to suffer severe hardships, and because of that the soldiers rebelled against Alexander and forced to turn back. जो भी सोल्जर्स थे उन्होंने कहा कि इसके आगे अब हम नहीं जाएंगे, हमें लड़ाई नहीं करनी है. We wanted to go back our home. We need to meet our families, and therefore he appointed Greek officers to administer the conquered territories. So here one thing again which is very important to understand, that he agreed upon the conditions of the soldiers, क्योंकि अगर soldiers ही रेडी नहीं है तो आगे जाके फायदा नहीं है. That's why he was forced to turn back. But while going back he appointed Greek officers to administer the conquered territories. जो भी एरिया उसने जीता है उस पर एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन देखने के लिए उसने कुछ लोगों को अपॉइंट किया. They were called Greek officers and known as satraps. They were called satraps. Here now in the map you can again easily understand this one, and the western satraps in Ujjain you can see here Satvahana Empire, Saket, Patliputra, Mathura, Indus. So maps are very important when we talk about the history or about the geography. He started his written journey but died on the way back in 323 BCE at Babylon, and today this Babylon is in Iraq. And by this we can conclude that not only the soldiers but the Emperor Alexander was also very tired, and because of that maybe he died on the way back. Now next thing, Alexander's campaign led to an increase in the trade between India and the Western world. India and the Western world, here in the map you can see. And whenever there is exchange between any two countries or between any two parts of the trade, then as we discussed earlier, it is not only the exchange of trade or exchange of goods, but it is the exchange of culture and exchange of art. The historians who accompanied Alexander introduced India to the Western world through their writings. Greek sculpture influenced Indian art. Greek sculpture influenced Indian art, giving rise to the Gandhara school of art. The Gandhara art, named after the region of Gandhara now, which is in Pakistan, presents some of the earliest images of the Buddha. You can see here. The Gandhara style was profoundly influenced by 2D century Hellenistic art and was itself highly influential in Central and Eastern Asia. Gandhara school was based on Greek Roman norms in sculpting foreign techniques and an alien spirit. It is also known as Greco-Buddhist school of art. The Greek kings minted characteristic coins, and on one side the coin had a picture of the king. Here you can see Alexander's silver coin. On the first side or one side, the king who had minted the coin, and the other side a picture of Greek god. Now if you people observe the coin of India, then you can also find many things on that related with our country, related with our culture, related with our art, related with the basic information of the national symbols of our country. So coin is very important while studying history. It's a very important source of history and it gives us information about that particular period. Now by observing this coin, by studying this coin, we can understand many things about the Emperor Alexander. The name of the king was also written on the coin. Alexander's coin were of the same type. And then Indian kings also started minting similar coins next to the Alexander. Now this all was the background of the Maurya Empire. And now we are going to talk about the Mauryan Empire. And in this, the first name is of Chandragupta Maurya in the Mauryan dynasty, then Bindusara, and then the very famous, the great Ashoka. Now here, Chandragupta Maurya founded the Maurya Empire, and people were tired of the tyrannical rule of the Nanda king of Magadha, Dhananand. Now on the screen, you can see the Maurya dynasty in 265 BCE. The area or the region covered by the Mauryan Empire or under control of the Mauryan Empire. The rise of the Maurya Empire, and the reason behind that was the tyrannical or the exercising power in a cruel or arbitrary mode, we can say. Rule of Nanda king of Magadha, Dhananand. मगध का जो नंद किंग था धनानंद, उससे लोग परेशान थे. उसका जो रूल करने का तरीका था उससे लोग परेशान थे. एंड दैट्स वाई चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य brought it to an end and established his own rule in Magadha around 325 BCE. So if you talk about the rise of the Maurya Empire, Alexander the Great invaded the Indian subcontinent in 326 BCE and died 3 years later. Chandragupta Maurya created the first Indian empire in 321 BCE. Around 323 BC, a great empire emerged in northern India. First king of the empire was Chandragupta, who was the founder of Mauryan Empire. He believed in absolute power over the people he conquered. Under his reign, India prospered and enjoyed great success. So he was good at administration, he was good in behaving with the people, and he was good in planning and implementing the different schemes or the things which were good for the people or for the betterment of people. And that's why during the Chandragupta's rule, India prospered and enjoyed great success. He conquered using a huge army and monies from trade with places such as Greece, Rome and China. Chandragupta Maurya brought it to an end and established his own rule in Magadha around 325 BCE, 325. He owned Avanti and Saurashtra and began to extend the boundaries of his empire. Once he owned Avanti and Saurashtra, फिर हम बोलते हैं कि जैसे उसने फिर पीछे मुड़ के देखा ही नहीं. उसकी जो बाउंड्रीज थी मौर्यन एम्पायर की वो कंटिन्यूसली बढ़ती ही गई. After Alexander's death, a struggle for power began among the satraps he had appointed. So satraps were the administrator appointed by the Alexander. लेकिन बाद में उनमें ही क्या हुआ, झगड़े शुरू हुए. So Seleucus Nicator was Alexander's general, and next to him he became the king of Babylon after Alexander's death. He invaded the northwest frontier region of India and the Punjab. But Chandragupta Maurya successfully resisted his aggression. जैसे पहले अलेक्जेंडर आया तो छोटे छोटे राजाओं ने उसे अपोज किया, लेकिन वो सक्सेस नहीं हुए इसमें. बट हियर Chandragupta Maurya successfully resisted his aggression. The defeat of Seleucus Nicator led to the inclusion of the northwest region of Kabul, Kandar and Herat in the Maurya Empire. Here you can see Seleucus, this one Maurya Empire, and by this you can understand the area under control of the Maurya Empire. Megasthenes, the Seleucus Nicator's ambassador, stared back at Chandragupta Maurya's court, and his book Indica is an important source for the study of India during the Maurya period. Now again the same thing, we people already learnt about the sources of history, and in that we learnt about the written sources, and in that books are very important sources of history. So the book written by Megasthenes, who was the Seleucus Nicator's ambassador. अब ambassador क्या होता है कि accredited diplomat sent by a state as its permanent representative in a foreign country. अगर आज की भी हमारे देश की अगर आप न्यूज़ वगैरह पढ़ते रहोगे तो आपको पता चलेगा कि अपने भी देश के अलग अलग एम्बेसीज अलग अलग देश में होती है और हमारे देश के भी एम्बेसडर वहाँ पर होते हैं. तो दोनों देशों में एक रिलेशन बनाने का काम एम्बेसडर करते हैं. तो मेगास्थिनीस ऐसा एक एम्बेसडर था सिलेकस निकेटर का इन द कोर्ट ऑफ चंद्रगुप्त मौर्य, लेकिन वो वहीं पर रहा एंड ही रोट बुक कॉल्ड इंडिका and in that he wrote number of things about the Mauryan Empire. By reading this book one can understand the things about ancient India. There is an inscription stating that Emperor Chandragupta Maurya had built a dam called Sudarshan near Junagadh in Gujarat state. By this example, we can understand that he worked for the common people, he worked for the agriculture, and also he planned many things for the common people. Now, according to the Jain tradition, it is believed that Chandragupta Maurya had accepted the Jain religion. And towards the end of his life, he abdicated the throne and spent his remaining years at Shravanbelgola in Karnataka, and that was where he breathed his last. But when we talk about the ancient India, Maurya Empire, very important empire, and during this empire only, India prospered in the economy and in agriculture and in many things. So here the Chandragupta Maurya is the very important person when we talk about the ancient history of India. Now in the next part of this topic we'll discuss about the Emperor Ashoka, the Kalinga War, Emperor Ashoka's work for the spread of religion, life of the people during the Maurya period, art and literature. In today's topic, we discussed about the Cyrus, Darius, the Daric coin, then the Greek Emperor Alexander's invasion. In the next one now, we'll talk about the Emperor Ashoka. Please subscribe the channel and press bell icon to get notifications.
So my dear ones, this is all for today. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe, take care.